Habertürk'ten herkese merhabalar. Bugün çok özel bir konuğumla birlikteyiz. Birleşik Krallık İstanbul Başkonsolosu ve Orta Asya ve Doğu Avrupa Ticaret Müsteşarı Sayın Kenan Poleo konuğumuz. Bu röportajı özel kılan bir diğer nedense Sayın Poleo'nun İstanbul'a veda etmeye hazırlanması. Kendisiyle görev süresi boyunca iki ülke ilişkilerinin güçlenmesine katkı sunan çalışmaları, öne çıkan projeleri ve önümüzdeki dönemde de devam etmesi beklenen işbirliklerini konuşacağız. Tabii ki Türkiye'deki döneminde de kendisinin bıraktığı izleri ve bundan sonraki döneme dair değerlendirmelerini de bizzat kendisinden değerlendiriyor olacağız. It's a bit bittersweet, but once again, thank you for joining us today. So we'll come back to your personal reflections, but first, I would like to ask you the strategic issues, if it's okay. So, as we enter the 2026, what would you say the main axis carrying the UK and Turkey relations today? Is it the strategic security, economic partnership, or the energy transition? And how do these different areas reinforce one another in practice?
Great, thank you, İrem Hanım. And it is bittersweet to be saying goodbye, but I think your first question around the strategic relationship between Turkey and the UK is key. And of those three areas, I think it's all of them. I think Turkey and the UK are such important partners for each other across a whole range of different issues, and be that on defence, be that on security, be that on the safe and secure movement of people, be it on economic relationships and trade, be it on energy and energy transition, which is an absolute priority for both of our countries. We have a really strong bilateral relationship with Turkey on all of those areas. And in 2026, given what is happening globally, when we're seeing the impacts of climate change, when we're seeing the impacts of geopolitical tensions as well, many of those surrounding Turkey as well. I think the UK is acutely aware that Turkey is an important partner for that stability, that growth, and the success of both of our economies, and indeed Europe's economy, to grow.
And since the Russia and Ukraine war, security and supply chains have become even more important for NATO, and the UK and Turkey actually play key roles here. So do you think the defense industry cooperation can also boost the energy transition and economic ties? And what's the strongest link between these areas?
So I think we're seeing a massive growth of the defense and security industries globally for very real and legitimate reasons, from what we're seeing from the impact of the second invasion and the war in Ukraine as well, and what that means for Europe and what that means for global stability as well. And so we're seeing an increasing amount of bilateral collaboration between the UK and Turkey and other partners as well, to respond to the security and defence needs that we are seeing globally as well. And supply chains are, of course, immensely important, not just through the disruption that we've seen from the wars and other regional tensions, but also from the lessons learned from COVID as well. So the fact that we can work so well and so robustly with Turkey to really see what we both need and what the world needs and what we bring to each other to ensure the security of that supply chain, I think is fundamental. And you have seen incredible UK companies coming over to Turkey to invest and to grow here, and we've seen some incredible Turkish defence and security companies going over to the UK to grow and to innovate and explore other markets as well. And so it's a relationship of mutual support and growth. That's my experience anyway.
And also I would like to ask you about the UK's modern industrial strategy. The UK's modern industrial strategy sets out a 10-year plan to make investing easier and more predictable. And what is designed to improve, and what will change in practice for investors and, of course, companies?
I think what the 10-year modern industrial strategy will bring for investors and exporters and all businesses and partners around the world is that stability, it's that security. We already spoke about several examples of geopolitical shocks and economic shocks what we've done with our industrial strategy is look to see where we believe we're going to see the biggest growth and potential of growth in those 8 key sectors. And those are 8 key sectors that also correspond and map across really well for Türkiye as well. So it's around clean energy growth, it's around financial services, it's around defence, it's around a whole range of industries where you can see stability. And what I think will be transformative is in all of those areas, it is not the responsibility or the preserve of one government department. You need all government departments to come together and respond to provide that solution. So if you look at, for example, energy and the energy transition, you need the Department of Energy to work with the Department of Science and Innovation, to work with the Department of Business and the Treasury as well. All of them coming together under one single mission, I think is going to be what's really transformative and will allow investors and partners looking to collaborate to have that stability, that if they come and they choose to build a relationship with the United Kingdom, and let's be honest, we already have 8,000 UK companies working with Turkish companies now to build mutual growth. That industrial strategy will underpin that and provide that reassurance and certainty that all businesses and all governments need to see now.
And when you look at the UK's innovation ecosystem, which areas do you think could create the fastest real-world impact through cooperation and with the rising tech ecosystems like Türkiye, and why?
So I think what you have in Türkiye is an amazing ecosystem here as well. I am seeing some really transformative businesses emerge from Türkiye around energy and clean growth, around financial services, around professional business services, around defence as well. So all of those provide an opportunity for those scale-ups to come over to the UK to access finance. We have the city of London, which is an incredible hub, and an incredible hub for accessing sustainable financing and energy transition financing as well. So you will have that. You'll have this ecosystem that will provide support to access our incredible universities and our incredible innovation centres like the catapults that we have in the UK. So they provide an immense amount of support for those innovative companies to grow. And what we really need to see is UK innovative companies and Turkish innovative companies coming together and seeing how they can create new solutions, new ideas, new services, new products, not just for each other's markets, because we're 2 big markets, but the world is a much bigger place. So seeing how we can work together to access and move forward in other markets around the world. And that, for me, is the real sweet spot on our bilateral relationship.
And of course, I would like to hear about the UK and Türkiye trade. UK and Türkiye trade is already strong, and UK government figures put it more than $30 billion, which making Türkiye UK's 17th largest trading partner. So what is the next step? I mean, what do we need to do next to grow it further, and what are the biggest opportunities?
So what I want to see next is, currently it's the 17th. I would love to see it become the 16th, 15th, and progress further. And we've come a long way. In the 4.5 years since I've been here, we have grown our bilateral trade by 10 billion. That's significant, I think. And that really kind of undernotes that there is a strong foundation there. We've been trading with each other and building those commercial and collaborative links for centuries now. But now there's a huge acceleration and a huge competition. So I think where we see that there's mutual learning, mutual opportunities where we can really collaborate and develop together, I think that's going to be the next step. And you're going to see a whole range of different products and services that are co-developed by UK and Türkiye, and that is going to continue to grow our trading relationship. The growth of the services industries here and the financial sectors industries here, moving away from just manufacturing into really intelligent manufacturing and smart manufacturing, and aligning with new technological capabilities. And that is really what's going to turbocharge our bilateral trade relationship, and that will see it continue to grow. I've got no doubts about that.
And I would like to also ask you about the free trade agreement. On the free trade agreement talks, how could an upgraded deal help to grow UK and Turkey trade, and which parts matter the most?
So, I mean, we've already got a trade arrangement with Turkey, right? And it's working well. And it's led to the level of growth that we were talking about now. But with this free trade agreement, we, as two huge trading nations on either side of the European Union, have the opportunity to develop a first-class, world-class, really super innovative free trade agreement like the world has never seen. So, we have an agreement now that's very much focused on goods. If we now move it into the area where we're seeing our growth and your growth, which is around services and innovation and financial services and all of those areas of growth, that will be outstanding, I feel. So we've had, I think, 3 really good negotiation rounds. I think the next negotiation round happening soon as well. Our ministers, our trade ministers from the UK and Turkey met in London a week ago. I was there with them at the table, and you could feel the energy and the excitement, and both of them committing to see if we can conclude those negotiations as soon as possible. So when that happens, and when we have something that really sets out a strong future, I'd be very, very excited.
In October, during Prime Minister Keir Starmer's visit to Ankara, the Eurofighter development was widely seen as the major moment. So what does this represent as a strategic threshold in UK and Turkey relations? And beyond defense cooperation, which new doors could this open?
That deal is going to be transformative, not just for Turkey and for the UK and other partners in Europe, but I think potentially around fuller European and global security. So I think that's the key thing that will come from the Eurofighter deal. And from that, you're going to see a creation of jobs. You're going to see a creation of engineering, scientific, defence excellence developed both here in Turkey and in the UK. And of course, with all forms of defence technology, there is always a secondary dual use that could be learned from that technology. So it's unclear now how much more that could then benefit the wider society and the wider community in both Turkey and the UK and the world. And that such significant projects will create a whole range of different spin-out opportunities and smaller defence companies that can grow and innovate and really address all of the challenges that sadly we're seeing around the world and in Europe and the region that we need to attend to both securely and safely for our people's benefit.
About the UK's decision to select Rolls-Royce for 3 small modular reactors has drawn significant attention. And in your view, what does this choice primarily reflect? And what does the UK's SMR step mean for the new period? And how do you see the potential of the role of SMRs in the future with, of course, Turkey and UK cooperation?
So Turkey itself has already identified that it wants to have SMRs as its own part of its own energy mix. I think around 5 gigawatts of energy to come from SMRs. And with Rolls-Royce, which is such a powerful, iconic British company that's been operating in Turkey for years that has a CEO who actually is of Turkish origin as well. We have a huge opportunity to collaborate and see how SMRs developed with Rolls-Royce potentially could add to the transition that Turkey wants to see around clean growth. So important as Turkey enters this year when it's going to be hosting COP31. So we are now building and developing that SMR in the UK. There will be a lot of learning from that. I think we continue to have conversations with Turkey around key things that would enable future SMR development, such as the regulatory framework. For example, it's such a new and innovative technology. You need to have that underpinning basis. But it adds to another area of innovation that we're seeing. The UK, as you know, has many strengths in its energy portfolio, be it offshore wind, be it hydrogen, be it how we manage grid efficiencies as well, be it around now nuclear build, which I'm really pleased to see that we have Turkish companies involved in that nuclear build in the UK as well, with Enka, and also with our kind of like hydrogen plant development as well, also involves companies from Turkey. So I think SMRs, part of that wider energy mix, part of the wider energy story for both of our countries, is going to be key. It's pretty exciting.
So as your time in Istanbul comes to an end, what would your message be for the future Turkey and UK relations? And looking ahead, what expectations and recommendations would you highlight for the next period of the relations?
So I would say a huge thank you to all of those British and Turkish businesses, scientists, innovators, financiers, bankers who have supported those projects and supported that bilateral relationship, underpinned by governments who are really keen to push that. There's only so much that we can do without those businesses really exploring that. And I think what I have enjoyed the most and what I will miss the most is just the positive way that both Turkish businesses and British businesses have come together to see how they can create solutions and how they can collaborate for growth. And we've seen it, and we're seeing it now. It's really tangible. 10 billion pounds of growth is outstanding. So I think please do continue to bring that energy, bring that commitment to collaboration, and continue to be innovative and think outside of the box.
And on a more personal note, as you prepare to say goodbye, like I said, what will you be remembering the most about your time in here, and how would you sum up the journey in Istanbul?
It's the people, I have to say. I have worked with some incredible people, both from business, from the wider community, some amazing journalists, obviously, as well, and my amazing team here in Turkey and across Eastern Europe and Central Asia, who have been so dexterous, who have been so kind, so quick, and who love their jobs. And I think that's what I've learned. If you really love your job and you can see value in what you're doing, and you really enjoy working with your colleagues, you're going to end up delivering successful results. So I will take that with me to the core. It's all about people. Trade may look like numbers, defense may look like technologies and weapons, but it is all about people.
And lastly, have you picked any routines or habits that you'll take it with you?
I think the one habit that I've now got into is I'm going to be drinking tea without milk. I think that's something that I never expected that I would do. And the thing that I have done more in Istanbul than anywhere else is look up when I'm walking around, because there's so much to see here. So when I go back to London, which is also another amazing city, I'll make sure that I look up to see exactly what's happening around me.
Thank you very much. Wishing you the best in your next future, and also it was really lovely. It was an honor and it was a privilege to interview with you.
Estağfurullah. Çok teşekkür ederim
Thank you very
Eren
much.
Hanım.